That being said, let's head into the drafting phase for game number 1. And as we let the first phase play out in just a little bit, I just want to quickly throw the ball at you, Zafa.
All right.
I know M6 literally just started. We're in wildcard stage, but do you think that we should have more teams for M7 for wildcards, more regions for wildcards?
I would honestly love it because it just brings new things to the mix. But I think before we can really officially have that happen, the ecosystem that currently exists in the wildcards needs to reach a new level of evolution.
We might be witnessing a page of that. Starting with RQ Akira, I think this is probably the first Fanny ban on that blue side, if memory serves me correct, but the Eve still makes it onto the list. Legion Esports starts taking out roamer options, the Flex Cho and the Matilda.
We know that RQ Akira is a very aggressive team, and if they have heroes that are able to easily open up the map and provide more utility in ways of entering and exiting team fights, they control things very effectively. So Matilda and Cho both fall into that archetype, and both are things that Legion will respect.
There's still Zhusin and Chip left. We know that some teams are starting to let Chip through and not even touch that hero until the entire drafting phase ends. But Zhusin, so far, alongside Fanny, has still been banned 100% regardless of what situation. Legion Esports gonna let the Zhusin through, and they ban the Suyo.
100% ban rate on Zhusin in the wildcards, officially broken here on the final match of day 2. Will RQ Akira snap it up?
I feel like you have to, right? It feels like a no-brainer, but that's just how I see it. I would pick Zhusin in a heartbeat whenever she gets let through. I mean, so far there have been certain ways to deal with her, you know, like dive comps, but it takes so much resources to deal with Zhusin, and she can build a more durable build because the utility she provides is more than enough.
Yeah, if you're able to put a little bit more utility into the mid lane, it could allow Takashi to go for a bit more aggressive EXP laners himself. But that is going to be up to RQ. Do they want to go for it? They're taking the time, and they will indeed lock it in. The debut of Zhusin in the first game of this match.
I'm not. Like, I have a very ominous feeling already just seeing Zhusin on RQ Akira's side, but I trust that Legion Esports came prepared with a solution to this Zhusin. Right? You won't let her through for no reason. They respond with the Gatot Kacha and the high loss. This
is interesting.
It's interesting. Oh boy.
While they are both very powerful opener heroes, drafting them both together instantly means that they are going to be Roman EXP. You don't know which for sure, but it means you don't have to worry about anything else, right?
Yep.
It's a lot of teamfight control, and with no Eve around, it may be hard for RQ Akira to match up, but I also feel like it reveals a lot from Legion very early.
And not just that, they both aren't the best option into the Zhusin. You can easily take Purify, and they don't have the best gap closers aside from Gatot Kacha. But even then, once you've expanded mobility spells, Zhusin is just going to treat you like a sitting duck and ragdoll you around. So that's something that Legion Esports have to be careful of. Alpha was kind of a pick that RQ Akira loved yesterday aside from Suyo, so they picked that up for King once more, and Luis gets Khalid.
Alpha's pretty solid against tanky frontline heroes as well because of his true damage that builds up over time, so both Gatot and Hylos fall into that category. RQ gonna be sticking to their guns. With a Gatot and Hylos as well, it seems pretty clear that Legion will want to go for a more teamfight-oriented front-to-back lineup.
Okay.
So RQ may want to stick to a more skirmish-style composition.
See the Hayabusa out, that's one way to get to the Zhusin. If you can stick the quad shadow on her, that would be the best case scenario, and follow her around with the shadow kill. I was thinking of the Tigreal for RQ Akira. I like that Legion Esports banned that out, but if you're RQ Akira, you're probably looking at mid lane options. The Aurora, the Vexana would be a good option to ban out as well. If you want to go down the Valentina route, I think it would be okay too, since He does play that. But yesterday he did show that Vexana compared to Valentina, so I think Vexana should be coming up.
I actually don't really like the chip ban very much from Legion because I feel like with Gatot and Hylos, you actually have more than enough tools to deal with it. If anything, I think you should be more worried about like a Matilda pickup because of the combo with Alpha and the way to outmaneuver the tankier front lines.
Yeah, they did take out the 1-1 on the side of RQ Akira. I honestly thought that they would be the one to consider 1-1, but considering that there is a Hayabusa, it doesn't feel as comfortable. We have the Harif left on the table, we get Bruno, Beatrix, plenty of options as Bruno goes over to the side of Legion. Looking at this, probably a Beatrix for RQ Akira wouldn't be too bad. Or Moskov if you want to deal with Hayabusa.
Yeah, I think maybe not so much Beatrix. I do like the Moskov potentially here. Claude also kind of an option to maybe get away from the Hayabusa and deal with the tankier heroes once you get the Trinity completed. So we'll see if RQ wants to go for that, because that is one of Gusta Lagusta's comforts.
Claude did receive a recent buff to Art of Thievery, now does 100 more base damage. The Blazing Duet base damage also went up, doesn't need mana. So laning phase at early to mid game feels a lot more comfortable, but it's about getting to the late game. And if you want late game, Natan always feels like a better choice in the current meta. You see RQ Akira, they are going to go for the Beatrix and the Fovia, so this is going to be a Khalid roam.
Okay. I still thought that it was going to be a Matilda to kind of outmaneuver Legion early on.
Yeah, it was banned out though by Legion.
Oh yeah, it was banned out early. I didn't even notice. My bad there. So pretty standard composition coming in here from RRQ Akira, but good amounts of early game damage that they could play around with this Zusin.
The final pick is going to be Vexana, which I did point it out. It was a very comfortable hero for Hehe. Yesterday when they picked up the Vexana, it was quite tough to play again into Incilio. We'll see if this one is going to work out. You do have decent targets to go for, you know, like Takashi wants to be in your face, Luis wants to do the same, so that Terrify and the Eternal Guard is going to be crucial, especially when it comes to the timing.
Well, personally, going into game number 1, I actually kind of like Legion's draft a little bit more. Both of these are pretty standard 5v5 front to backs, but when you have Avatar the Guardian and Glorious Pathway, it'll be very easy to separate the Phoveus and Khalid from RRQ's backline. So this is going to be a bit of skill coming into play once we enter into the mid game and team fighting becomes the major focus.
Yeah. And for me, RQ Akira, the fact that they have a Tusin raises my confidence, but I do agree, right? That full combo from Legion Esports will be deadly, but RQ Akira have plenty of control.
Well, the Land of Dawn, we are back once again, ladies and gentlemen, and hopefully you guys got your popcorn and you're buckled into your seats, because this is going to be RQ Akira on the blue side versus Legion Esports on the red.
The Fallen Empire in Group B looking to rebuild that kingdom. Of course, alongside this Mekong representative has the first seat of MCCM for quite a long time. Eternal rivals of Nightmare Esports, but also the spearhead of the Vietnamese region as a whole. We're seeing that early oppression from this Tusin, even in lane. There really isn't nothing much. So we're seeing Legion Esports do the exact same thing yesterday against Incilio, where they do that lane swap, putting that Vexana in the XP lane.
It can be very effective in the correct matchups here, and this means that Hehe will just be able to hold lane against Tekashi and not really allow him to get aggressive advantage. Joe able to get the litho as well, so a good start.
Very, very good start for the side of Legion. I want to remind you guys quickly, again, if you don't know yet, the M6 Pass is available from 18th of November to 29th of December. During the event, you can level it up, play games, support your teams, and get skins like the Baxia special skin, the Claude M6 exclusive skin, and even exclusive borders, portraits, recall effects, even a statue. And Luis gets out of that.
Oh, a bit unlucky for Joe. Luis was able to jump into the bush just in time, which meant that the Ogi Shadow kill bounced over to the crab instead.
He did get the crab, right? So it's not too bad for Joe, but it does expand the flicker from Luis. Thankfully, he has the quicksand guard, so he heals back up. And I like the fact that RQ Akira, they are mobilizing this Tusin to constantly put pressure on to Legion Esports. Make sure that if they want to move around, they can't do it.
I mean, that's why you pick up a Zusin, right? You want to take advantage of her pressure on the map, especially in the first couple of minutes, because it's hard to beat the displacement this hero has. With the 2 tanks in the mid lane, though, Legion are able to start harassing the turtle very early on. Here comes Sagan and Takashi, building up the Lantern Flare stacks, gonna be able to pull up the high-lows, but Nard is dealing with King by himself. Spirit of Alpha used to jump behind him. Will he be able to get the turtle away? No! He finishes him off. First blood given to the Vexana, but Luis still steals the turtle away.
Such a weird interaction. First of all, Akira completely ignored their jungler who is getting gone on by Legion Esports, so King ends up going down, but they salvage it by taking the turtle off of Luis's damage. A pretty awkward moment, awkward sequence for both teams, but Legion Esports will really hope that they get that objective. As we get a bit of a slight pause, we will get back to you guys what the issue is, but for now, I say this Zuzin is starting to show her fangs already, and at the same time also we're pointing out that the Zuzin, instead of going for Impure Rage, has gone for Brave's Smite.
So he wants to remain in the fight for as long as possible, which I think makes sense, right? When you look at the draft from Legion Esports, they are more burst-based, and they're basically playing around cooldowns and having Gatot and Hylos hold the front line for them. The best way to deal with this is to make sure that your lineup has more consistent DPS over time. So Alpha, Beatrix, Zuzin all fall into that, and the goal is to remain in the fight for as long as possible and potentially overpower their revitalizers.
So easy to proc the Brave Smite if you're a Zuzin. So it's confirmed that will be RQ Akira's side as we go through a bit of troubleshooting. Our marshals will handle that for us and gives us some breathing room to talk about that. It's just the first turtle, of course, almost 3 minutes into the game, but we're seeing RQ Akira's response to Legion Esports, right? They studied that early lane swap that we saw yesterday against Incilio, but I want to get your thoughts on this because I talked to Lafel about it. This Vexana lane swap, does it achieve what Legion Esports want, and is it significant enough?
To be honest, I think it is. I think it's a really great idea of breaking the meta, because the idea is you always want to unlock your EXP lane from the lane so that he can join team fights, right? What better way to do that than by putting him in the mid lane so that he's already not bothered with unlocking that, and putting your mid laner against a melee fighter that is very easily poked.
That as well. So far, it hasn't really affected RQ Akira that much. Again, no lead, as I believe you did mention to me that RQ Akira isn't really the fastest team as well, right? There have been signs of passiveness yesterday, which is pretty interesting because Legion Esports have been known to go fast, but perhaps the adjustment after yesterday have forced them into a more cautious approach.
I think a cautious approach is good though, because RQ Akira, when they start fights, have a tendency to go too far at times, which causes inconsistency, right? When they take the fights they want, they're really good at it. You can see their micro skills on display, but when they mess up a little bit, it gets so messy.
Legion Esports have been doing a fantastic job of just mirroring the movements. I think a lot of that focus will definitely be on their gold laner. Joe clears out top side with this Shadow Q. He's not going to have it for the next turtle. Gusta just got the Malefic Gun.
Oh, Malefic Gun
First
very
item,
early
wow.
on. Yeah, first item. I think that indicates that RQ Akira wants him to join fights pretty early on too. Joe still able to get his orange buff despite King's attempts here.
It's kind of set up for this turtle. Again, no Ogi Shadow Kill, something that RQ Akira needs to keep in mind. But Daylight is also brought into the fight, and Gusta ready to respond. So Legion Esports, they gotta be careful about this turtle skirmish though.
Yeah, King wasn't successful in slowing down Joe, so both junglers are at level 8 and gonna be pretty 50-50 with the turtle fight. But Legion again have more tools overall, so RQ Akira has to slow down the turtle dance a little bit more. Glorious Pathway comes out, Spear of Alpha used, but Luis gets stunned, gets knocked off, gets CC'd by everything under the sun, and Luis is just gone. Legion Esports now on top of the turtle, but 50-50. King gonna be the one to steal it away with Retribution, and Meow gonna be picked up, thrown back into King. A free kill for the Alpha, as now Takashi right on top of Gnart with a Spear of Alpha to finish him off.
First of all, Luis ate everything from Legion Esports, took them their entire asset to bring him down. This pesky Rom Khalid, but second of all, massive Dark Wave from Takashi to pull 3 people from Legion Esports back who wanted to escape the fight, evacuate, got dragged back in, allowing RQ Akira to not only find 2 kills, but also the second turtle of the game and the bot tier 1. Now Joe, he's gonna go down again.
Where is Joe going? Oh, Shadow Kill comes out at the last second. Raging Sandstorm, but no flicker being used. I feel like he could have connected that.
Yeah.
But Joe luckily will survive. RQ Akira regains slight gold advantage.
You know what they say, never kill the messenger. That was a warning shot dedicated to Joe's Hayabusa, but at least Legion Esports, they took down top tier 1, so it is a structural trade. But you always got to keep in mind, if they are paying attention, they would have realized this Beatrix has a Malefic gun. So like you said, I think RQ Akira, they want to start early fights, and a lot of it are going to be centered around the objectives, where you have Luis and Takashi who can constantly disrupt the backline, and Sagan keeping the front line away.
They recognize they need Beatrix to break down the front line. And speaking of, there they go. Exactly doing that. Finding Gennard. Oh, shadow kill. Gusta flickers away from King.
Oh!
But he's able to survive just barely. Luis once again not committing flicker. Joe able to walk away. But this Hayabusa not getting the kills he needs.
That is so unfortunate. When he threw out his shurikens, Gusta timed the regeneration, got that extra tick to stay alive. And that is massive if you are RQ Akira, and a big bummer for Joe.
We think we can see Legion Esports, their momentum starting to slow down a little bit now that RQ Akira looks a lot more confident to fight. 7th minute of the game, Turtle just respawned. All members of both teams already around the Turtle pit. Let's see what they can do with it.
RQ Akira should be making the call to stall this out a little bit, because Luis is still waiting for Raging Sandstorm to come back up. So to deal with the middle wave, you got Gusta, they're taking all the farm, but King is just maintaining aggro.
Turtle at 30%, flicker, knockout from Takashi, but Joe still gets the Turtle anyway. Glorious Pathway slowing down RQ Akira from jumping into the backline. Ogi Shadow Kill comes out, but it doesn't do enough damage, and that means Gusta picks up the kill on Joe. He has to flicker away from Takashi too. So Legion forced on defensive action.
Well, Takashi just single-handedly ran into the backline and forced away key members of Legion Esports. And unfortunately this time, RQ Akira didn't get the Turtle, but it really does not matter. They got the kill onto Joe regardless, so it's still a net positive for the Latam rep.
You can see how tempo has shifted. RQ Akira are now accelerating the game since they know they are in control, and Legion, unfortunately, are not actually responding fast enough. Gustav finally got his BOD, actually doing good damage now. And Glorious Pathway used just to make sure Legion can get away from their own tier 2.
You saw that, right? That one rocket.
Yep.
BOD and Malefic gun, first of all, gives you insane range. Turrets are not an issue, but that one blast took out almost 20% of his health bar. This is a big problem for Legion Esports now.
And that's the danger of Beatrix here, and RQ Akira knows it. They have way more consistent access to damage compared to Legion, who are very constrained by cooldowns. If they don't have their ultimates, they just simply cannot fight, whereas RQ will always be available. So they can use that to exert pressure around the map.
Shorter cooldown times, and RQ Akira have been playing around it so well. Once more, Raging Sandstorm is going to be the key that allows RQ Akira to start fights with Legion Esports. We did see that Malefic roar out for Joe very early as well, as he needed that extra oomph to it. But as long as Luis is around, he's just going to eat it up.
Yeah, another Ogi Shadow Kill. Literally tickles RQ Akira. Not too sure what the goal was there. Would have been better used to clear a wave instead. And RQ Akira is just going to continue doing what they're doing.
This is a Lord fight. And if it goes any way, just like the Turtle fight early on, RQ Akira is just going to play with the timing. Have Takashi go to the back. Flicker out from Hey. Not good at all.
RQ Akira looking to be in very strong spot. Takashi already jumping in, zoning out again in the mid lane. Vexana not able to get close. Jumping in again. Daylight doesn't do enough damage, but Takashi finally has to flicker away after being knocked up with the Eternal Guard. A lot of cooldowns being used. Joe jumping in again, but the Ogi Shadow Kill fully soaked. Raging Sandstorm defensively to get away from the Glorious Pathway, and Avatar the Guardian even wasted from Legion Esports, all without achieving anything. And Gusta nearly snipes down Daylight, lands the Render's Apathy, not able to get the taunt. Here comes Joe again, but he gets knocked up, stunned instantly. That's the jungler of Legion gone. Takashi doing so much damage because Legion are grouped up under the Revitalize, and they've taken out 2 double kill for Gusta Lagusta.
Oh my goodness, Joe really wanted to make a play happen, but Phobia's passive just bonks you in the head with that big totem, and RQ Akira finds the objective, the first Lord of the game, finally after a drawn-out dance. Legion Esports got to go back to the drawing board. They had the right idea. The dragged-out fight would benefit them, but they have to always remember it's a push and pull. Legion Esports got impatient and paid the price.
Ooh, Gusta Lagusta just got Blade of Heptases as well, so fully intending to target the squishier members of Legion. Game slowly slipping out of their hands as RQ Akira, they're just so good at making a 5v5 look like 5 individual 1v1s.
It does seem so. Even Takashi has been doing the same thing over and over again. Just hop to the back, zone out the Vexana, zone out the Bruno, and there really wasn't much that Legion could do aside from, you know, forcing out his flicker. Malefic Gun just got purchased by Daylight, so the extra range to match up with what RQ Akira has.
Yeah, Legion in a tough spot now. Their utility should allow them to be the ones controlling team fights and splitting up RRQ Akira, but now with a 5k goal lead, even if they do that, it's unlikely that they'll be able to pick anyone off. Joe hasn't even been able to go for Skypiercer as the Hayabusa still 0 kills.
I think Sagan was building components either for Holy Crystal or Blood Wings, but pivoted to a Winter Crown, which is going to allow RQ Akira to have an extra layer of utility. The survivability for Tusin matters so much. A push on the top side.
Glorious Pathway just to make sure RQ doesn't engage, and all they have to do is wait until the minion wave connects and the Glorious Pathway is gone. Legion, at the very least, able to defend their inhibitor. Not too much damage to worry about for now.
Honestly, it doesn't feel good when you use everything and barely take the hell bar. Takashi though, punish.
Yep, finally an Ogi Shadow kill out, but a beautiful flicker raising Sandstorm into 3 members. RQ Akira though, too far behind to follow up, and that means Luis is punished for his overextension. King now by himself in the mid lane, uses ult to get away. Legion finding a breath of fresh air.
Get him! Come on. So close, yet so far. And that's kind of the overzealousness that you mentioned earlier on from RQ Akira. Luis saw the angle for the big play, but his team did not respond to it as they were not ready at all. Legion Esports finds some room to breathe. They keep all inhibitors alive. 50 seconds until the next Lord, but even then RQ Akira have gotten a pretty sizable net worth injection from the first one.
Yeah, this is not going to be a big obstacle for RQ Akira, but they got to avoid making mistakes like that going forward, because it's a way that Legion Esports could use to slowly claw their way back into this. Takashi has been doing a good job of basically 1v4ing the entire game, but in that particular situation, you are just making yourself an easy target for the Ogi Shadow kill.
Yeah, the only reason that he's been able to pull it off is because his team was there to back him up.
Hold on, that Luis taking a lot of damage. Quicksand Guard, Raging Sandstorm defensively. Here comes Joe again. Careful, sir. Half of his HP gone in an instant. Both teams disengage.
So 2 big ultimates eliminated right before the Lord spawns. No AOG for Legion Esports. No Raging Sandstorm for RRQ Akira. Bottom way pushing in. RR Akira will have to deal with it. And that's going to be a job for Gusta Lagusta.
To be honest, despite RQ Akira's dominance so far, the game is actually still pretty 50-50. Daylight has been farming pretty evenly with Gusta, just a little bit behind because of his 1 death. The Bruno still scales pretty well into the late game, and if Legion can continue playing like this, RQ could be in trouble.
Once more, RQ is waiting for timings. Flicker, in particular, Takashi gets brought over the wall.
Gets pulled over by Joe's Quad Shadow, but he's tanky enough and his team is here. Glorious Pathway comes out, but Daylight, that's what we're talking about! Sagan is gone! Football right to the face! It is now a 5v4 in favor of Legion.
Malefic Gun is so good. That extra range, so deceptive.
Fear of Alpha connects on Daylight, but Wind of Nature comes out, killing spree for the Bruno. A flicker, Raging Sandstorm once again, but you're missing your DPS! Double kill for the Bruno! The RQ Akira making mistakes, prolonging fights where they don't need to.
Why is RQ Akira fighting that? You should not be fighting, you should be keeping your resources for a potential push. Legion Esports, they're going to turn on to the Lord. Surely, there's no way to contest this. King isn't even back for another 15 seconds.
Conceal, they want hair, but a Terrify instantly puts a stop to their plans. And Joe gets the Lord. The game is instantly reversed. This is what we were worried about for RQ.
It all started with a bit of an interesting interaction with Takashi. He might be the master of following mobile heroes, but he certainly has no control over that passive that gets brought over the wall. But the fact that RQ Akira committed to a fight after losing Sagan and I think Luis is a big red flag. Sagan and King, excuse me. The fact that Luis went for the counter engage, committed a flicker just for the Raging Sandstorm like the previous one in front of Legion's base is a massive blunder.
It jumped the gun way too much. They already lost Sagan and King, like you mentioned. And when Luis jumped in, Gustav wasn't even close enough to follow up on it. So again, disconnect there. The players playing too fast, a little bit too hyper to try and make up for their mistakes. Glorious pathway now to escort the Lord down. Bottom inhibitor gone. AOG lands in the center. Raging Sandstorm defensively. Sagan gone to Joe's Ogi Shadow Kill, who almost finds Gustav too. He has to use his Wind of Nature just to survive. And now Legion are officially in the driver's seat.
Legion Esports fired up after yesterday's loss. We talk about this team liking to play that fast game, and they finally found that moment to step on the pedal.
Once again, going in, mid inhibitor this time, but the minion wave is cleared up, and they're not close enough to follow on top either. So RQ will keep mid and top inhibs alive, but for how long?
I know we say that this all happened because of a blunder from RQ Akira, but one small detail was also the fact that Legion Esports didn't lose that top inhibitor to that pesky cannon minion, which got retributed by Joe, because that would have allowed RQ Akira to set up a pretty good wave before they contest that second Lord on the bot side. Legion Esports have completely swung that goal into their advantage. I believe it's almost a 5k goal swing.
Yeah, it's even now, and that means Legion looking a lot more comfortable, since that means they'll be able to survive longer and go for more efficient fights. Even Joe now starting to become effective, even after being rendered completely inexistent for most of the game.
Oh, letting that Dusin through and beating it after almost entire world not daring to let it happen. And even with the right idea, right, Malefic Gun, you outrange the Dusin to a certain extent. Daylight chasing her down every single time she is spotted. And to make it even better, the next Lord is going to spawn on the top side, and RQ Akira are missing a bottom inhibitor.
Yeah, things are looking tough, but again, the game is actually pretty 50-50. A single team fight could determine things for either side, and that means positioning becomes that much more crucial. You cannot jump the gun anymore. Every decision has to be made with impetus in mind.
This is one of the hurdles that Legion Esports tripped over yesterday against Instilio. They had an inhibitor lead, they had Lord control, but they could not close out the game. Let's see if that adjustment that they have made since yesterday is going to pay off. This Lord fight is pivotal.
Daylight dropping Lord to 50, but probably will reset it now that RQ Akira are walking forward again. A very good way of winning this out is baiting RQ Akira into them, which has worked so far. They will find Luis isolated. Ogi Shadow Kill on him. Quicksand Guard comes out. Raging Sandstorm. He will escape, and that's a lot of cooldowns used by Legion Esports. They're gonna pull Meow back. Revitalize comes out. Eternal Guard and Avatar the Guardian misses, but Daylight almost takes out Gusta. He's still chasing them down. All of RQ Akira is so low. Unstoppable streak for Daylight on the Bruno. Gusta now trapped outside, and the bouncing balls is doing so much damage. Double kill, Wind of Nature, triple kill for Daylight on Legion Esports.
Daylight is the true assassin from Legion Esports, comes in from the flank with a sliding tackle and absolutely broke the ankles of RQ Akira, taking out two crucial members. Hehe shows up with a flicker, terrified. Legion Esports looking to take game one.
Yep, the crystal's wide open. Spear of Alpha finds two. Beautifully played. Winter Crown comes out to keep him alive. Gusta trying to clear the minion wave, gets a mega kill, but the crystal is still wide open. There's no minions left. They're still alive. They're still living, but they just blow up. A double kill shut down from here. And with that, Legion Esports will turn things around and claim game one against RQ Akira.
What a victory in game number one for Legion Esports, keeping the hopes and dreams of the entire Mekong region alive in this wildcard group stage, taking down the fallen kings of RQ Akira. What started out as a dominant early to mid game went straight down the drain when RQ Akira got too trigger happy and ended up botching their own lead. What a comeback, right? Composure from Legion.
Bad habits die hard, unfortunately, and this is something that RQ Akira has done time and time again. Trigger happy, definitely the right term to refer to this, as they had such a big lead. They were doing such a good job of controlling the map against a team that should be hard to team fight into. But one too many mistakes, one too many kills that should not have been given away, gave Legion the room they finally needed.
It's very, very unfortunate if you're RQ or Kira, because letting such a game slip away is not going to feel good. We talk about Legion Esports needing to go back to the drawing board at one point of the game where they were getting ran down. I think now you have to switch that mindset over to RQ or Kira. They have to go back to square one.
Yeah, gold laners are still always going to be a threat, and the reason why Bruno has been rising so much in popularity is not just because of his early game pressure, but how well he scales into the late game too. With that Malefic gun, he can reach so far, do so much. He was chasing down RQ Akira by himself at the end of that game.
He's chasing down Takashi, he was chasing down Sagan, he was like, Luis, you got quick stand guard, but I'm gonna blow right through your defenses if you give me enough time. And it's just such a good composure, such good recovery from Legion Esports, and all it took was RQ Akira to give them that one moment.
A single moment. That's how games can be determined nowadays. The meta has shifted so quickly to an aggressive style that once you let go of the pedal, you are giving opportunities. And Legion Esports were very quick to respond to those opportunities. I think Daylight definitely deserving the spotlight here for being the carry in that endgame.
Yeah, and throughout the entire game, Daylight only went down once, right? Almost a perfect game, a perfect KD for his Bruno. He did had a slightly hard time in the early game when Gusta decided that, you know what, I'm gonna go for Malefic Gun into BOD, into Blade of Hephaestus. Gave Daylight a bit of a problem, but overall still Daylight came out on top once he hit that item spike.
RQ Akira, they're an aggressive team. We know they're very good at isolated team fights. They're very good at holding their own and being independent, and they have confidence in this kind of playstyle, but it also means they may take things a bit too far and try to take matters into their own hands when you need the team around you.
Now that we've seen that Zusin get let through and at the same time beaten by honestly a very unlikely matchup, a very unlikely matchup between the teams itself, I find it pretty interesting. I wonder if more teams would also kind of start looking into this as a reference. And by the way, I just want to give a quick shout out, this time not to Beyonce, to our content team, because you know, this 7-1 KD for Bruno is also a reference to how Brazil kind of lost to, you know, one of their World Cup matches. I'm putting it out there.
Oh my!
I didn't want to take this jab, but I'm pressured to do it. You know, my career is on the line.
I see you. Like it's too perfect, right? There's a 7-1 on Daylight. Here's the reason that RQ Akira lost. It is very low-hanging fruit. I will give you that one.
Well, not me. I have to thank the back-end team. I'll give you guys that one. Moving on, we are seeing, like you said, the marksman is still the cornerstone for every single team, and it's reflected in the damage dealt alone. Gusta still deals the most damage, and then followed by Daylight.
I also really like Legion's idea of swapping the EXP and mid lane at the start of the game, right? You would think that having two tanky frontliners against a Zusin is a bad idea, but really they're not gonna be threatened even if they are pulled back at level 1, so they're fine there, and they're able to go assist EXP or gold lane very easily, right? He's not really in any threat as well. In fact, he actually threatens Takashi since he can poke him from further away and keep him in lane without having to do as much.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the only other time we've seen this was when SRG went out against Team Vamos, right? When they swapped that Zusin to the side lane to deal with a CC. But we gotta focus our spotlight on Daylight, the MVP of game number 1, gold laner of Legion Esports, 7-1-4 on this Bruno. He is just hitting shots and scoring those goals.
Daylight deserves a spotlight. This is actually a very fresh face and very new player in the professional MLBB scene. In fact, his pro experience only started late last year at the 32nd Southeast Asian Games. So one of the newest faces on the M6 stage and already showing us that he is a fresh breath of air.
Sometimes when we have new faces, it's always great to see the ideas they bring into the game, and people would expect one out of two scenarios. Either they blow everyone out of the water or they buckle under the pressure. Definitely not Daylight, as he just kept getting more and more confident as the game progresses, understanding that he is the strongest man on that battlefield.
We can see here in the highlights what exactly happened towards the middle phases of the game, where RQ Akira became increasingly scattered with their engagements. A formless lineup, a style that's very suited for distracting and confusing your opponents is something that RQ Akira is skilled at. But when your front lines are scattered in an attempt to scatter the enemy, the moment they regroup and take the advantage, you do not have defensive battle lines to play around.
I think what they ended up doing was confusing themselves or starting fights that have already ended, right? They kept trying to beat the dead horse. Very unfortunate for RQ Akira, but the good news, the silver lining, is that it is not the end just yet, right? Legion Esports still has a chance, but